Hi, welcome to the SDP. In the history of video games, the turn of the 1990s was the age of the ninja. Think about it. Around that time we had Ninja Gaiden, Strider, Shinobi, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a Demon Sword. Wait a minute, this guy's not a ninja. It's just some Conan the Barbarian XP.
But here's the thing. In the game itself, you definitely control a ninja. I can tell. His weapons of the trade are a sword, shuriken stars, and various types of magic. He soars from tree to tree in a bamboo forest in monster jumps. The bosses he faces, as well as the settings in which he does so, are also taken out of Japanese mythology. No, my good sirs and ladies, the cover-up will not last so long as I'm around.
That's right. Don't f*** with him, North Korea. Perhaps I should explain. A little while ago, it was the norm for media being exported from Japan to America and Europe to have any Japanese cultural elements removed or replaced with things more recognizable. This is how we get such classics as rice balls in anime being passed off as powdered donuts. Call me an otaku, but I just don't see the point of going through all that trouble. Yes, it could be to avoid assumed culture shock, but they could just as well pass it off as a new cultural experience for the kiddies to learn about. In a cool way. Fortunately, this trend seems to be over, no matter what 4Kids says. Shows in the mid-2000s, such as Power Rangers, Ninja Storm, and Naruto, proved that you could successfully market shows to children while keeping Japanese cultural elements intact.
Believe it!
Neither that or the American cover artists and manual writers for Demon Sword didn't play the game themselves. But enough of my ranting, let's get to the review. Demon Sword is an unofficial sequel to The Legend of Kage, another ninja game.
The plot stars the warrior Victor, whose titular sword must be reassembled to its full power to slay an oppressive demon overlord. Or, based on what I could translate from Japanese Wikipedia, it stars the unrelated warrior Ashura, a descendant of Buddhist mythology figure Akala, who must save the emperor's daughter from being used in a sacrifice by said overlord.
Whatever, the backstory isn't really referred to in the game itself, apart from a few minor cutscenes. Victor, Ashura, screw it, I'll just refer to him as you.
Your weapons are the sword, an endless supply of shuriken, and fire, lightning, and wind magic. Starting out, the sword deals twice the damage of your stars but has an abysmal range of only a few pixels in front of you. However, both the sword and star's performances are upgradable. In each of the 7 levels, no matter where you go, apart from bosses or bonus rooms, you'll be assaulted by an infinite stream of enemies, and most bosses take a huge amount of hits, but it's important to take them on so you can collect items vital to survival. Red orbs fill a unit of your life bar, and black orbs extend it by 1 unit each, but for some reason they don't take effect until your life bar drains.
If you don't have the enclosed instruction book on hand, confusion will ensue.
Keys open bonus rooms where you fight mini-bosses for magic and shuriken upgrades, which work like in Kid Icarus. Other types of items let you survive falls into bottomless pits, shoot stars in 4 directions at once, and give you invincibility and a trail of shadow clones.
Farming for items is an essential part of this game, because you get 3 lives, but once those are gone, your game is over. No continues, nothing. Or so it would seem.
Actually, there is a continue and password function in this game, but they're hidden by button codes. On the Game Over screen, hold down and press B, A, B, and A to get your password and continue the game. To load a password from the title screen, hold up and press A, B, A, and B. These codes may be easy to remember, neither one is basically the mirror image of the other, but the same cannot be said for the 17-character passwords. Fortunately, these passwords save your items and stats as well as position.
And yes, these codes are included in the original manual, but like I said, these days you're less likely to come across them included with copies of the game itself. The jumping and movement physics, while befitting of the awesome ninja type, take some getting used to from a usability standpoint.
Your character's running speed is fast enough to give Sonic a worthy challenge, and your jumping height is beefed up to match. The downside of having such superpowered speed is that you run the risk of running into one of those infinitely spawning enemies I mentioned earlier. Also, something to be mindful of is that, while jumping in one direction, you can change your horizontal speed but can't turn around. This is a pinch of realism compared to the jumping mechanics of most other platform heroes, but drawing the line between realism and playability is a tricky proposition. You also have the ability to climb tree trunks and other vertical surfaces. While you can still attack while climbing, the fact that you automatically grab onto these surfaces while airborne hinders the flow of movement, in my opinion.
The Japanese release of this game is entitled Fudo Myo Oden and shipped out in March 1988. Apart from the manual's backstory matching up with the game itself, there's a whole lot more content to be found compared to the American Demon Sword.
There are more types of magic and items, and 6 more levels, bringing the total level count to 13.
Yet the levels that are also in the American version are even longer here. Man, these levels take forever to get through. Wow, that's almost half the content they ripped out of the American release, and I have to ask, why? So I did the only thing I could do. Track down the Japanese version. There's just one problem.
Something's not right here. The life bar from Demon Sword has been removed. Taking one hit without the right items to back you up costs you a life. So even though the password system remains intact, this time with 27 characters, without needing button codes to activate, you'll need a lot more skill and patience to slog through this version.
While Fudo Myo Oden is superior for being twice as long and otherwise more fully featured, playing Famicom cassettes outside of Asia is a complicated affair, since cartridge converters are way hard to find, much less at a reasonable price.
That said, don't feel too bad if you're stuck with the American version. It's still as much of a challenge as many games of the era were wont to be. Both Demon Sword and Fudo Myo Oden score 70%, a C+.
This is Kevin, with Ichigo, and you are the Resistance. I knew this would come in handy.